I just got back from Flint. Yeah, that Flint. I saw that dirty water with my own eyes. But not to my surprise, Governor Snyder, you're not much of a provider, 'cause Flint ain't fixed. Flint ain't fixed. Flint ain't fixed. Flint ain't fixed. The children up there are sick. The lead in the water is thick. Flint ain't fixed.
There's one thing that bothers me, and that, as a Negro yourself, why do you talk so bitterly against Martin Luther King and a lot of these other people of your race?
Well, let me tell you something. I don't put my race before I do my country. Being a Negro woman doesn't matter to me who is a Negro or who is a white person. If they are enemies of our country, then they are certainly my enemies too. Well, I say it is frightening, and it should be frightened to the entire American people that he has demanded $10 billion. And if he doesn't get it, then there may be riots this summer. Martin Luther King is nothing but a blackmailer, and he should be arrested for blackmailing because he certainly has blackmailed the United States government.
Umbrella, she's up, she's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. So, a while ago, I talked about this young brother, Quintonio Legrier, who is a mentally ill young brother who called 911 for help. But instead, the police showed up and shot and killed not only him, but his neighbor who was just opening the door for the cops, Bettie Jones, who was just an innocent bystander. But they both were shot and killed by Chicago police officer Robert Rialmo.
Thursday, the city's new police oversight agency, COPA, ruled the 2015 police shooting that killed Quintonio Legrier and Bettie Jones was unjustified. But key facts that led to that ruling were uncovered by CBS 2 just days after the shooting. So what took investigators so long to reach their conclusion? CBS 2's political reporter Derek Blakely takes a look.
19-year-old Quintonio Legrier took a swing at a Chicago cop with a baseball bat, and the officer shot him dead. That's the story Officer Robert Rialmo told investigators after the shooting 2 years ago, a story COPA now calls unbelievable.
They stated the obvious, that the officer that was involved is just not credible. In other words, he's a liar.
Rialmo claimed Legrier was 3 feet away when Legrier took a swing and Rialmo opened fire. But COPA concludes there is no credible evidence that Legrier ever swung the bat. And just 3 days after the shooting, an eyewitness told me Rialmo was 30 feet from Legrier.
The officer was standing here when he opened fire.
Yeah, these are 7 shots.
7 shots?
7, you know.
He wasn't at the door, he was right here.
Yeah, right here.
Firing from the sidewalk or parkway, the same conclusion that COPA reached.
The gunfire came from a substantial distance away, that no police officer's life was in danger at the time.
Again, COPA reached the same conclusion. A reasonable officer would not believe he was in danger of death or great bodily harm. So what took so long? The attorney representing Legrier's family says the old police watchdog, IPRA, simply dragged its feet. Now he's demanding action.
The superintendent should go to the police board asking for this man to be fired.
First, let me say this. I called the father, Antonio, today, and I said, on behalf of the law department, I apologize. We had, like I've talked to him before, met with him before, we had a good conversation, and he was incredibly gracious and understanding. And I want to say that At one level, I want to say about the law department, they acknowledged they were wrong immediately this morning and changed their position. Because it's, in my view, and I think they acknowledged it by changing it, that it was callous. For a family, specifically that's been through so much, to have actually made this decision that the law department made, they should know that a family that's gone through so much, was a mistake. It should never have been done in the first place. And the good news is they acknowledged it very quickly, and they got done with it. I had no knowledge they filed this case. It doesn't really matter. I called the father specifically while I didn't do it. I called the father, I said I apologized for it. We had a gracious conversation. And the good news is the law department acknowledged up front this morning they made a mistake and changed their position.
Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson has 90 days to make a decision, but the police board has the final say. Meantime, in light of the COPA report, Futris, who is the family's attorney, says the city should settle the civil lawsuit the Legreir family filed. That case is scheduled to go to trial in June.
So after this cop, Robert Rialmo, shot and killed this young brother, Quintonio Legrier, a mentally ill young brother who called the police himself for help, and an innocent woman who was just trying to open the door for the cop, the police or the DA didn't press charges, and they justified the shooting. Even though all of the evidence contradicted his story, he said he was forced to shoot because Quintonio Legrier was swinging a bat at him. But the shells from the bullets were on the sidewalk, and shows that he was on the sidewalk just shooting up the house. They even had an eyewitness that said that's what he did. Even the cop Robert Rialmo's partner testified he didn't see him swing a bat. And the reason that they took so long is so he wouldn't face criminal charges. So after he was cleared of charges, a police watch group finally decided to speak up and said the shooting wasn't justified. Now keep in mind, this is not for criminal charges, this is just for the civil part. And this watch group isn't asking for charges, they just asking that he be fired. But it was the black police chief in Chicago, Eddie Johnson, who was defending this cop, Robert Rialmo. Like the police chief said in the movie Crash, how do you think I became the police chief in a racist organization like the police? He had no other choice but to try to justify this shooting.
Breaking news, Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson believes an officer was justified in shooting and killing Quintonio Legrier and Bettie Jones in 2015. That is contrary to what COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, has ruled. CBS 2's Suzanne Lemignot joins us now with the latest. Suzanne.
Well, Erica, Superintendent Johnson does not believe Officer Robert Rialmo should have been fired and has sent a letter to COPA saying he disagrees with the agency's recommendation for a firing. In December of 2015, Officer Robert Rialmo shot 19-year-old Quintonio Legrier as he was holding a bat. 55-year-old Bettie Jones was standing near Legrier when she was shot. Rialmo was responding to a domestic call.
I need police assistance. Now what happened? My son is attempting to break inside my bedroom door. He's got a baseball bat in his hand.
Superintendent Eddie Johnson had 90 days to respond to the Civilian Office of Police Accountability findings that Officer Rialmo should be fired. Johnson sent a letter to COPA last Thursday. It says in part, an investigation should not second-guess an officer's decisions by suggesting how COPA itself would have resolved the incident. Instead, an investigation must address the question of whether the officer, while making split-second decisions in tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving circumstances, acted as another reasonable department member on the scene would have done.
You say Superintendent Johnson is seeing this through the eyes of a police officer.
You know, COPA's civilian investigators. Superintendent Johnson's been in the streets. He's been in these situations. He's dealing it with from a different perspective.
It's an officer's job to be somewhat aggressive in confronting violent people who are threatening harm to others. You have to remember that the police were there because Legreir's father, Quintonio Legrier's father, called the police.
Meantime, COPA confirms the letter was received but made no further comment. So what's next? Superintendent Johnson and COPA will meet and try to reach an agreement. If that doesn't happen, then it goes to the police board. Attorneys for the families are barred from commenting because a gag order, Erica, is in place.
So not only did this cop Robert Rialmo kill these people, then he turned around and sued Quintonio Legrier's estate for millions of dollars. Quintonio Legrier's family sued the police and sued the city, and during the civil trial, his family was granted $1 million. But during the civil trial, a jury also said they found Robert Rialmo was justified in shooting 2 people on a call that was meant for help. And despite all the evidence, this jury said the shooting was justified to prevent death or imminent bodily harm. The judge, Rena Marie Van Tine, an American Indian judge, posed a special interrogatory to the jury after the verdict, asking the jury if they thought lethal force was necessary. Now, I don't know if she was the judge or Robert Rialmo's lawyer, but when the jury said yes, they thought lethal force was necessary, the judge reversed the jury's decision and took away the $1 million from the family.
Extremely frustrating situation for the Legreir family when you think about it. One minute they win their case, being awarded damages in the wrongful death lawsuit against Officer Robert Rialmo. The next, they get no money at all. A really shocking turn of events that left everyone speechless in the courtroom when this happened. The jury initially awarded the Legreir estate more than $1 million, significantly less than the original $12.5 million they had asked for. They are responding to evidence that suggested most of the 5 bullet wounds on Legreir's body were in the back, contradicting Rialmo's claim that Legreir came at him with a bat. Attorneys had also said Rialmo was too far away from Legreir when he opened fire to claim any imminent threat. But the twist came when Judge Rena Marie Van Tine learned the jury also signed a finding that Robert Rialmo feared for his life in the altercation and acted reasonably. The judge said that outweighed the initial verdict, rejecting the jury's award to the family. That means they get nothing out of this. Now, Robert Rialmo won his countersuit against the family. However, he will receive nothing as well, no money awarded to him.
Defense attorney said when Legreir came down the stairs, it happened so fast, and he had a baseball bat, and that baseball bat was a lethal weapon. Also killed that day, innocent bystander Bettie Jones. Her family has reached a tentative settlement with the city of $25 million. Now, moments ago, we heard from the foreman of the jury.
Over the last 8 days, we heard a lot of conflicting testimony, a lot of conflicting information from the expert witnesses. And, I'd say at the end of the day, it really came down to the physical evidence in this case.
This afternoon, Officer Robert Rialmo arrived in court, escorted by Cook County Sheriff's deputies. When Rialmo took the stand, attorney Bill Futris, representing the family of 19-year-old Quintonio Legrier, who Rialmo killed, started right off with pointed questions. Futris, you shot Quintonio Legrier. Rialmo, yes. Intentionally? Yes. You killed an innocent bystander? Yes. You sued the Legreir family? Yes. You are asking this jury to give you money for killing Quintonio Legrier. Despite his attorney's objections, the judge let the questioning go on. Rialmo answered yes. Earlier today, a forensic pathologist hired by the Legreir family testified Legreir's wounds by 5 shots were inconsistent with Rialmo's claim that the 19-year-old had raised a bat over his head menacingly. Dr. Judy Melanick also said the lack of gunpowder residue on Legreir's body indicated he was further away from Rialmo than the officer told investigators.
So this judge, Rena Marie Van Tine, said that the court finds that the special interrogatory governs the outcome of the case. And since they justified the shooting, she can reverse the $1 million given to the family. And the jury also ruled in favor of the Rialmo lawsuit. Even though he didn't get any money, all he gets is to walk away with killing 2 people and go right back on the force. Now, when things like this happen, we have to stop acting surprised. When it's been hundreds of years of the same thing, at some point, it's no surprise anymore. We have to stop acting like things are new. Like all of these people calling 911 on us. There's nothing new about it except for the coverage that it's getting. It's just getting caught on camera more. But we have to realize they have always called the police on us all the time. That's not new. We have to learn how to protect ourselves. Because they will always respond with urgency to stay in the position they're in. There's no point of arguing with them. There's no point of trying to convince them of anything. Why would we argue over our blood being shed? That in itself is disrespectful. They have no problem staying on code. And we have to stop acting shocked when something happens and respond with more urgency than they do. Otherwise, our blood will continue to be shed and there's nothing we can do about it. But if we put aside our tribal differences and put aside whatever beliefs we have, because I'm sure we can all agree we want our children to be protected and not only just survive in the future, but to be prosperous and in control of their own destiny. We're all we got, and we're the only ones that can change our circumstance.
It looks like a cheerful pre-Christmas crowd at Moretti's in Edison Park on December 17th. But then, from another security camera in the top right of your screen, a push and a punch result in a short bar fight. One of those involved in the backwards baseball hat is Chicago police officer Robert Rialmo, already under investigation for shooting and killing 19-year-old Quintonio Legrier and 55-year-old Bettie Jones during a police call a year before.
Was he the instigator in this fight?
No.
Rialmo's attorney Joel Brodsky says it began as a misunderstanding about a coat. It escalated and Rialmo defended himself before leaving the bar. He questions why COPA, the agency responsible for investigating police misconduct, is even involved.
If they're turning, scuffle in a bar into a serious police misconduct issue, you got to wonder, what's going on here.
A COPA spokesperson says the agency got this case from Chicago police and routinely investigates all reports of officer misconduct. 12 days after this fight, the police board ruled Rialmo's 2015 shooting unjustified. Brodsky believes it's all related, directed by City Hall.
Politically trying to discredit Rialmo and paint him as a rogue, out-of-control officer or person in order to make sure that he gets fired.
Under investigation again. Robert Rialmo, cleared of killing 2 people, then charged and cleared in a bar fight, is involved in a new bar fight just this morning. Good evening. I'm Erica Sargent.
And I'm Rob Johnson. Tonight, Rialmo's attorney says it's not the officer's fault. CBS 2's Charlie DeMar live outside the Norwood Park bar where it all went down. Charlie.
Rob and Erica, good evening. And there are a number of cameras both inside and outside of Teaser's Bar here in Norwood Park. That's where Officer Rialmo was involved in that fight early this morning. And Rialmo's attorney saying that Rialmo did not instigate this fight. He didn't start it. Instead, he was the victim of an attack. Chicago police officer Robert Rialmo finds himself the target of a police investigation yet again. Rialmo was at Teaser's, a Norwood Park bar, just before closing around 4 a.m. Friday, when police say a verbal fight turned physical, spilling outside in front of this Mexican restaurant. But Rialmo's attorney says Rialmo is the victim, targeted by 2 gang members, saying in a statement in part, the gang members poured a beer on Rialmo after saying they recognized him as a police officer from TV. This scuffle comes less than a week after Rialmo's battery charges from last year were dismissed. The embattled officer seen on surveillance video throwing punches in a different Northwest Side restaurant. Last month, Rialmo's use of force was ruled justified when he shot and killed 19-year-old Quintonio Legrier, who was armed with a bat, and Bettie Jones in 2015. After Rialmo's most recent case, Rialmo was asked if he was unlucky to find himself in these situations.
I can't say I'm unlucky at all. I can say that I've been put in some bad situations that many guys wouldn't have been able to get out of safely. I feel that people have the wrong idea of myself.
And Rialmo's attorney adding tonight that Rialmo filed a police report himself, and he actually took a breathalyzer, reportedly blowing a 0.0. Now, no charges have been filed, but the Civilian Office of Police Accountability is investigating.
It's a female. She's wearing a green.
Tell them I'll be here when they arrive. That I will be waiting for them to arrive.
A white.
You can tell them her name is Camilla Hudson. I have ID and will share it.
Hudson. And it's probably spelled C-A-M-I-L-L-A-H.
You got it exactly, like the river.
Morry, M-O-R-R-Y. Matson, M-A-T-S-O-N. African American.
Black. No, I'm not African American. I'm black. Black isn't a bad word.
All right, thank you.
Chicago now, a woman claims a CVS drugstore manager called police on her when she tried to redeem a coupon at his store. The woman, who is black, took out her phone and recorded their interaction. ABC's Janae Norman with that video tonight.
African American.
A CVS manager coming under fire, captured on cell phone video calling 911 on a black customer trying to use a coupon.
You can tell them her name is Camilla Hudson. I have ID and will share it.
The manager visibly shaking while making the call.
African American.
Black. No, I'm not African American. I'm black. Black isn't a bad word.
Camilla Hudson tells ABC News that she started recording shortly after she handed the manufacturer coupon to another CVS manager.
He goes, well, I can't accept this. So I said, okay, why can't you accept it? Because it looks fraudulent.
She says they never even scanned her coupon to see if it was real. Then the incident escalating. Manager Maury Matson calling 911.
And he says to me, you should probably leave because I've called the police.
Police tell ABC they were informed a female was threatening staff and refusing to leave. The incident just the latest in a string of episodes caught on camera of white people calling the cops on black people for everyday activities, like these two black men arrested at Starbucks shortly after one of them tried to use the bathroom.
I don't take issue with them refusing the coupon. There's a way to do that.
And CVS has apologized to Hudson and says those two employees involved in the incident won't be working in the store pending the findings of their investigation. As for that manager who called police, he declined our request for comment.
Come on! Excuse you.
Get away from her.
You need to calm the fuck down right now. Yeah. Try that shit with me, I dare.
Yeah, I dare you.
Fucking dare.
I dare you to touch me.
How about you take your ass, get your shit, and get the fuck out of here? Because you are acting too damn fucking crazy right now.
Yeah.
You need to go. You need to go, or we're gonna call the fucking cops and have them remove you. You're sitting over here, you almost hit her. Do you realize that? Yeah. Well, you're sitting here calling people niggas and bitches, and you're throwing chairs and shit. Get your fucking mind.
Do it! Do it! Do it, boy!
You too.
Do it! Fucking do it, boy! Come on!
I wish you would.
Huh?
I wish you would.
I'm here.
No, you're acting fucking crazy.
Tell this guy to get away from me.
He was physically attacking her and he called her a nigger.
Get your shit and go. Sitting over here trying to throw chairs and you almost fucking hit her. You almost fucking hit her. Do you realize that?
He almost hit her in the head.
Okay, we're calling it. Come on! Excuse you.
Get away from her.
A violent and racist rant caught on camera outside a West Hollywood grocery store.
Yeah, KCAL 9's Rachel Kim is live in West Hollywood right now outside Pavilions. And Rachel, you spoke to the woman who was the target of all this?
Yeah, Jeff and Susie, Angela Jefferson says she was minding her own business over here when suddenly a man sitting over here went off on her and lost control. Angela's thankful witnesses stepped in.
Come on! Excuse you.
Get away from her.
A recorded rampage outside the Pavilion store in West Hollywood.
We had like a pipe or something, or a stick or something, and he was swinging it, he was hitting it on the table. He tried to hit me with it, but I, dodged him.
Angela Jefferson is the woman on the video. She says she was studying and listening to music around 2:30 Tuesday afternoon when the man sitting at the next table started saying derogatory things to her.
He was calling me the N-word.
Because you were acting too damn crazy right now.
He's calling me the B-word and stuff like that.
Angela says she asked him to stop, but he then smashed her belongings and threw a chair at her. Dulcinea Cercelli was inside the store having lunch and heard the commotion.
So I came out here and saw that he had broken a chair and was like trying to hit this woman in the head and saying the N-word to her. And so at that point, I started recording.
In the video, you see another witness come over to stop the man from attacking Angela. When the witness told him to leave, the man got angrier.
It was just so scary. He was armed and attacking two people, with metal rods.
Witnesses say the man was drunk.
Come on!
And left before sheriff's deputies arrived.
Thanks, you guys, for helping me. May God bless them.
Sheriff's deputies say if the man returns, does it again, and is caught, he will be arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct.
Hi. Permit Betty.
Huh?
We got another Permit Betty here. Everybody. Let's get her viral also.
We have to ask, guys.
Let's get her viral also. Permit Betty.
Sorry guys, I have to ask for permits.
Yep, she sure does. She's got to mess with people that just trying to make a living.
Yeah, if you were trying to make a living here, you would never be able to walk on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
this way.
Yep.
Everybody can do business.
Let's let her go viral, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi everybody, I know.
There she goes.
I know compassion is all.
There she goes.
But we're just trying to make sure everybody has the opportunity.
Yeah, there she goes.
Sending.
Yes, Permit Patty. Let's figure out what company she's with. Oh, where's she going? Where's she going?
Working on. Andy told me.
No! Don't do that, y'all! Don't do that! 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 This is what you did, Sarah! This is what you want! No! This is what you want! This is what you want! Are you mean? Are you mean? This is what you want! This is what you want! This is what
Make a video of this bullshit. I'm sick of this going on. I'm tired of shit like this.
Watch the whole thing!
This is bullshit. I'm sick of this shit.
Yo, always do, yo! Always do! I'm gonna get the beat the fuck up, always do!
Welcome back. Another controversial arrest has the city of Philadelphia in the spotlight. It was caught on camera near the zoo. Eyewitness News reporter Anita O shows us what happened.
Cell phone video making the rounds on social media shows Philadelphia police handcuffing a black teenager who was selling bottled water with friends by the zoo. It happened around 12:30 Thursday afternoon when a white security officer there reportedly flagged down police officers, and zoo officials say it's